Hey everybody, Brent here with Stella Binaria Nursery, and today we're continuing a series of videos that we've been doing about tomato plant care. So far we've talked about pruning tomato plants, why that's important and how that can help with tomato plant growth and production. We've also talked about staking and tying our tomato plants. That also helps with keeping them growing upward, helps them with their growth as well. But today, we're going to talk about another tip, another thing you can do. So we're at the point of the season right now where the plants themselves are growing. There's a lot of green. They're looking good. But we're starting to wonder, when are my tomatoes going to produce, right? When can I get to the point where I'm going to be having tomatoes to pick all the time? And that can be kind of frustrating when we feel like we're doing everything we can. We're watering our plants. We're making sure that we're doing the other things that we talked about, staking, tying, pruning the tomato plants, but still we're not getting tomatoes growing on the vine, or they're there, but they're not turning, right? They're not ripening. So what are some of the things we can do? Well, one thing that we can do is we can add fertilizer. So you can put bone meal in there. So bone meal has potassium and it also has phosphorus. So those things help tomato plants to produce fruit. So if you have blood meal, that's more for green, right? So that's something you're going to want to use in like a lettuce or spinach bed that produces more greenery. Phosphorus and potassium, which again are in bone meal, it's a very common way to distribute those things. They're going to be the things that help the actual fruit grow on the plant. Now, all of these beds that I have bone meal in them. I put that in when I prepared the beds before I actually put the plants in the ground. And you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to keep doing it. You might want to do it midway through the season again, just to sort of kind of re-up that dosage of bone meal, but you don't want to do that frequently because that will mess up the pH balance of the soil. I'm not going to get into all the science of that and the particulars, but the soil does have a delicate balance in it, and you don't want to overdo it with the bone meal. However, one thing that you can do is to add wood ash. So we have a fire pit up on our deck, and that creates wood ash. It's, wood burning, and that has elements in it like we just talked about, the potassium and phosphorus, mostly phosphorus, and that can help with growth of tomatoes. I've done this in the past. I've recommended it to people and they've told me it's worked for them. It's definitely worked for me. So most of my tomato plants are growing decently in terms of production. They're developing tomatoes. They're just still a little bit green. This one right here has tomatoes on it, but they're very small, right? So you can see right there, little tiny ones. They're tiny. There's a few of them, right? So what we're going to do, I have a bucket here, a little bit of wood ash in it that I brought from up on the deck. And what you're going to do is you're going to take some, and I would wear gloves. You don't want to, getting ash on your hands is probably not the best. So I'm wearing these gloves here, but you want to just sprinkle it around the base of the tomato plant, right? And do it to this one as well back here. We have a little bit extra. You just blend it in, right? We're just going to blend it in down here at the base of the plant. Back there too. Blend it into the soil. So you're going to water that after you put it into the soil. That'll help to absorb it a little bit more into the soil right around the base of the plant. And this will go a long way in helping that fruit production, okay? So these are small. It'll probably take a week or so, and they'll grow on their own, right? They just might be a little bit behind some of the other plants for whatever reason. But adding bone meal will help if you haven't done that. If you have done that already though, wood ash is a really good way to expedite tomato growth on your plants. So again, this is a natural way to do it. I try to avoid chemical fertilizers because you know, we're trying to keep chemicals out of the garden. My goal is to have a totally organic garden. The goal of growing my own food is that it's completely natural and that there's no pesticides or anything on it. I imagine many of you are the same way. So in an effort to do that, this is a great way to handle that. You put natural things into the soil, and it helps. Obviously, you're steering away from the chemicals, but it also is really heavily nutrient rich for the tomato plant. So we want to try and do that if we can. So if you have wood fire, a wood burning stove or a fire pit with wood ash, use it. Otherwise, you're going to just be getting rid of it anyway. So it's another example of being able to use something for another purpose beyond what you expected. So the wood burns, you enjoy a nice fire. Next day, a couple days later, whatever, you can come out into your garden, sprinkle a little bit of it around the base of your tomato plants, pepper plants. You can do it with really any plant. It's for fruiting. It's that phosphorus. So I'm using it for tomato plants today, but I could use it on my pepper plants. I could use it on cucumbers, zucchini, really anything that's struggling to produce fruit. Right now, some of my tomato plants could be doing a little bit better with fruit production, and that's why I'm doing that. So give it a try. Let me know in the comments what you think, how it worked for you. If you have any questions, that would be great. I'm here, happy to answer any questions you might have. If you haven't already, go to our Facebook and our Instagram, follow us there. We put short videos up there, kind of harvest videos that we've taken of things that we've found in the garden that we've collected. But make sure to follow us on there. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe here on YouTube, and take care.